Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everybody had a pretty wonderful Eid, or if it's your Eid there, then Eid Mubarak, taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum. In this video, I would like to address the question: is it wrong to sacrifice animals for Eid al-adha? Now, I'm sure other people have addressed this, and I hope more people address this because it seems to be a growing concern amongst a lot of our younger Muslim um, youth. That grammatically did not make sense, but we'll go ahead with it. Um, you see, Islam really deals with our natures, and the reality of the matter is that humans are omnivores, and it would be almost impossible, especially historically, to feed the entire human population only on vegetables and fruits, especially if we don't use pesticides or we don't even kill the insects that come inside our houses. So Islam recognizes that it's not wrong to eat animals, as it is a fundamental human need. And just like many other aspects of our life which are difficult, which could be done in very cruel ways, Islam shows us the right way of using animals for our needs. And in Eid, especially in countries where we do get to sacrifice our own animals, I remember when I was in South Africa, a wonderful part of Eid was showing children how to treat animals properly. For example, Muslims, when we sacrifice animals, especially for Eid, when we're not big corporate farmers, we tend to do a lot of things that are not done in your average everyday slaughterhouse. So, for example, when we sacrifice one animal, we make sure none of the other animals can see it. So, we try to limit the pain as much as possible. Even when we are bringing the animal to be sacrificed, we pet it, we use a very sharp knife, we don't hurt the animals beforehand. We don't use a lot of the techniques that are used by modern day slaughterhouses because they don't care about the animal. For us, this is our sacrifice. We feed it, we walk it, we're supposed to take care of it for before the sacrifice even happens. So this was an element of training the younger children how to take care of animals. The Islamic concept of eating animals is quite similar to that of the native Canadians, in which we use every element, every part of the animal that we can, and we don't waste any of it. Even the fact that we recite a prayer before we make any animal edible is a reminder that this is a need that is being used, keeping the rules of Allah in mind, in which we will not hurt the animal more than we absolutely have to in order to be able to consume it. In addition to this, we find that in other religions and cultures, the celebrations that happen, they don't really include the poor in them. For example, in Christmas, the many poor people often feel left out with the new corporate culture that is consuming Christmas. They can't afford Christmas trees. They can't afford a lot of the gifts that everybody seems to be giving. Same thing with birthdays and other traditions. But in Islam, in both the Eids, we include the poor in that holiday. So, for example, on the first Eid, Eid al-Fitr, we give Sadqatul Fitr, which is a small sum of money that goes directly to the poor, so the poor can have a celebration as well. And in Eid al-Adha, in this day, many poor countries, many people who cannot afford meat throughout the year get to be fed, and often they're fed so much where they can have a proper celebration. Skins are donated to institutions that can use it as a major portion of their funding. So there is no cruelty that is intended within this holiday. Even the symbols in sacrificing an animal does not show that we are happy. A sacrifice is something that you actually love, but you're letting it go. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam was willing to sacrifice his son, we are sacrificing an animal in his place, reminding ourselves with this symbol that we need to be able to sacrifice whatever that is required for the greater good, whatever there is required to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think the last thing that we have to address is that there is something seriously wrong with the intensive farming that is done for corporate reasons at the moment. And as Muslims, we should be willing to tackle that face on. Sheikh Musa Ferber, he has done this wonderful research for Taba's essay series. And in that, he discovers that these intensive farms, the way that they, even though the meat that we are eating, that we are consuming is halal, the way that they're treating those animals before they sacrifice them is not halal. And I don't know if it would be good for us as Muslims to support such a system. It's obviously not good. I just don't know if it's sinful. I believe the conclusion that Sheikh Musa makes there is that it is sinful. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength to change the system as it exists. I would really recommend that you read that book. It was mind-blowing in that regard. So if a person decides to leave that kind of meat, meat that is conventionally sold in our butcher shops, they'll be rewarded. But that is still not an excuse to not sacrifice for Eid al-Adha and to believe that it is wrong to kill animals Islamically for consumption of food. So there's that middle ground for anyone who sees the cruelty that is going on in the world right now with animals and wants to address it with an Islamic desire. If I'm sure I might have made some mistakes in this video or in any other one of my videos, please you're welcome to correct me, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.